Welcome back to the Mid-Year Mitch YouTube channel. In today's episode, we're getting back onto the Centerfield 65 Corvette. I'm finishing up the windshield frame, getting the birdcage painted, putting on some bonding strips, attaching the firewall, putting the main floor in along with the fiberglass rockers, and we're going to attach a brand new rear clip to this car. So be sure to stick around. Also, I'm working on starting up a new website for the Mid-Year Mitch YouTube channel where I'll have some merch and some other information that you guys might want to see. So stay tuned for that. I should have some updates on that next week. So to recap, this car was really rusty and I had to replace like the whole birdcage basically, including the windshield frame. Where I left off, I was missing one of these corner pieces for the windshield. Now that I have all the pieces, I need to drill some holes in them so I can plug weld them together, but I need to get my windshield plug in here first, probably put the doors on here to make sure everything fits properly. We'll weld the windshield frame up. I have the birdcage fully welded up, so now I just need to grind down the welds. I'll take the doors off, and then I'll scuff everything, prime it, paint it. So now that the front of the birdcage is done, it's time to start skinning this thing with fiberglass. So you've seen me do this several times, but basically the first step is to install these bonding strips on the windshield frame. These get a little bit of sealant on the back and they get pop riveted in place. Those make a good mating surface for the firewall. So the blue firewall in the front here came off of this car and you can see all the nut plates are rusty. I need to remove all these and treat the rust and repaint them and reinstall them. But I also need to fix a little bit of fiberglass damage here. So I have a brand new firewall here that I got from Stinger Fiberglass a few years ago, and I'm going to pull a mold off of this area, this area here, so that way I can take this section and then transfer it to there. So I have both bonding strips installed on the windshield frame. I glued them in place and riveted them to help protect it from water getting back there, and I also scuffed it with 36 grit to get it ready for the firewall. So I have the firewall also roughed up for both the bonds for the windshield and the floor pan, and then I made a little piece with that other firewall. I took a mold. So now I need to put a tube in my gun and put some glue on this, and we're going to go ahead and glue the firewall in place. I glued the firewall on and I let that cure over the weekend, so now I need to pop all the clamps off, and now we need to move on to filling this void in here. So I got to start fixing up the floor and some of these rockers. So I have the floor sitting on a sawhorse right now, and she needs a lot of work. Every single piece of metal that's on here is just, it's so rotten, it's all junk. So I have to cut all these bolt heads off or try to break the bolts get rid of all these plates, throw them away. I need to replace all these plates because there are various cracks. This whole section of the rocker's cracked. Everything is just, it's in rough shape. So I got to remove all these bits of metal so that way I can do quality repairs, fill all these holes. I have the floor back out of the car, and I decided to replace the passenger side rocker because there was a lot missing to make this really work. So these pieces I'll save for patch panels for another car, but I have a brand new rocker from Stinger. So I'll go ahead and get all this scuffed up, get all the mating surfaces ready, get all this extra glue and loose fiberglass off. And then I also made rough outlines around all the areas that I need to repair so that way I don't forget about any of them. So we have the floor and the rocker mocked up on the car, and we also set the rear clip on it just to see how that looks. And now we have to pull everything back apart and do some more preparing, but we did some figuring to figure out how we should glue the rear floor to the front floor. They both have the same flange on them, so what we're going to do is end up trimming about an inch or so off the top of this one, and the same thing with the bottom of the rear clip flange. And then we'll glue the two together, and then once that's done, we'll just fiberglass over it. So that'll make it really strong, because this is kind of an awkward place to splice. If you don't do something like that, I did something similar on the Misfit. It is all connected one piece. It's nice and solid, so I'm really happy with the way this turned out. This just needs a quick scuff and it's all ready to go. I had to do a little bit of patching in the front here by the Firewall, and then in the back here just to make the Stinger rocker fit the floor. So that turned out real nice. All I have to do is connect these two parts of the B-pillar together with that little shield there that also helps create the luggage compartment back there, but I'll do that later. And that's where I'm going to end this video off. And then in the next video, I'm going to get the doors mounted on here, and I'm going to start mocking up the quarter panels, which we removed. But I'm going to put these new quarters on it. These are a brand new pair of Vette Masters press molded quarters, so that will be going on this car. And I'm going to try to make some kind of way to support the quarters without necessarily having to put screws back here, because I have another set of quarter panels to put on a mid-year right after this, so it will actually pay off to try to figure this out now. That way I can just use that fixture on the next car that I do. So this thing is coming together nice. It's going to need a lot of finish work, but so far it's mocking up nice, And then after we get quarters on it, I'll finish the underside of the car, the firewall, paint and undercoat it, and then we'll get it on this chassis, and we'll start getting this front end fitted and get this thing ready to go home to Florida. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you enjoyed, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. And I have a lot of work to do. In the next video you see, I'll probably be removing the quarter panels and getting ready to install a fresh pair of quarter panels on here. So I got a lot of work to do, and I'll catch you guys later.